Okay, I'm going to start this video by apologising for the background noise. It's nearly 2 AM in the morning here, and look what I've got to contend with. Some people are trying to work here. Those real men doing real jobs. And I'm sure Jordan Peterson would have a little cry about it.
How dare you?
Society would collapse without men fixing the roads at 2 AM. Yeah, well, society would collapse without gossip bitches as well. They may be the mighty pistons, but we're the slimy grease that helps everything just run smoothly.
I'm going to be your worst nightmare.
Anyway, being the tireless investigative journalist that I absolutely am, I've stumbled on quite a story, quite a scoop. I hope you're sitting down. This is going to shatter your world. The BBC presenter at the centre of all these allegations, it turns out, is... drumroll please. Oh, it's trending on Twitter. Bollocks.
I thought you'd have worked it out by now, dickhead.
Yeah, it's Huw Edwards. I guess you all know that by now, don't you? Might as well just put his big menacing face on the thumbnail. Huw Edwards named as BBC presenter at the centre of the allegations. What allegations, I hear none of you ask. Huw Edwards has been named as the BBC presenter facing allegations over payments for images. I can't say that, you know I can't say that. His wife, Vicky Flynn, issued a statement on his behalf saying that he was suffering mental health issues. Another one! And is now receiving inpatient hospital care.
Thank you, God.
Phew, well, I'm glad that's all sorted then. That's all worked out well. Wait a minute, you can't just play the mental card for that. If I were his lawyer, agent, life coach, yeah, that's the kind of grifty profession I'd get into, I think. If I were Huw Edwards' life coach, I'd just tell him to come out a la Kevin Spacey, Philip Schofield.
I am a gay. Oh!
They handled it well.
There is an innocent person here who didn't do anything wrong.
The BBC is facing fresh allegations. They're fresh. Fresh allegations of inappropriate behaviour by Edwards towards more junior staff.
Bring me my croissant, boy, or I'll bugger you into next week.
2 current BBC workers and 1 former member of staff said they had been sent messages that made them feel uncomfortable.
Fetch me one of those donuts, lad, with the cream. All the cream inside, yes.
Earlier, detectives from the Met Police ended their assessment into the original allegations and determined that there was no evidence of a criminal offence.
No one died.
They also determined, however, that there was quite a lot of evidence that Huw Edwards had been a pretty naughty boy. Oh, guilty as charged. Oh, that's just ignorant. I would have been a blast back in the 70s. This would have been hilarious. The BBC says it is now resuming its own investigation whilst continuing to be mindful of our duty to care to all involved. Now, where have I heard shite like that before?
Shaken, troubled, let down, worried for the well-being of people on all sides of what's been going on.
An absolute den of iniquity.
I wonder what the findings will be of the BBC's own internal investigation.
No one died.
On Friday, The Sun first reported that a BBC presenter had paid a young person for photos beginning when they were 17. More allegations followed.
Someone died.
Anyway, Alistair Campbell, do you remember him? In many ways, Alistair Campbell is the world's greatest ever life coach, isn't it? Alistair Campbell, Tony Blair's former communications director turned podcast host and commentator, grifter bitch, he bling glass houses, Danny. He has said that the Huw Edwards story shows what happens when media culture loses any sense of perspective about a story. Yeah, I guess he's kind of... Hang on a second. No, you're not right, you spin doctor. That is rich, coming from Alistair Campbell. Keep things in perspective. You mean like you kept things in perspective when you told us there were weapons of mass destruction in the Iraq dossier? I suppose, to be fair to Alistair Campbell, if there is anyone living or dead who has had the opportunity to learn a lesson about keeping things in perspective, it is Alistair Campbell. Last time he didn't keep things in perspective, 100,000 people died. But as I see it, that's quite an unlikely outcome in this scenario. Oh no, I don't think I will be keeping anything in perspective. I'm going to be a fickle lunatic, advocating mob rule and trial by the media. The broadcaster's coverage in the first 24 hours of the story was reasonable, but reporting since then has turned into a feeding frenzy, he told the BBC News. A feeding frenzy? That's hyperbolic. You're probably thinking of the sacrifices at the Davos meetings.
Extinction of large parts of our global population.
You shape-shifting lizard. We have to get a grip on our sense of perspective when these things happen, he said, pointing to the other big stories happening at the moment, like the NATO summit and Boris Johnson's WhatsApp messages not being passed to the COVID inquiry. Oh, you sneaky little... You're not really talking about this at all, are you? You're just here to say something about Boris Johnson. Slimy vermin. Earlier he tweeted that he hoped, almost certainly in vain, that Huw and his family are given the privacy they need and to which they are entitled. And the same goes for all of us involved in this story. They're reading off a damn script. Even then, they are so consistently on the wrong side of history. 100,000 people, Alistair. Stop giving your opinion on stuff.
Huw Edwards, to many people, the face of BBC News, especially here in the UK. Today, his wife announced he was the BBC presenter accused of paying a young person £35,000 images over a period of 3 years. The Metropolitan Police had launched an investigation into those claims, which first appeared in the Sun newspaper, but today say they have found no evidence of any criminal act, and their investigation is now concluded. There will be no further action. That means the BBC's internal investigation can now begin. There have been other allegations from other people. Someone had told BBC News that when they had threatened to name Huw Edwards online as being on a dating app, they'd received abusive messages. A 17-year-old said that Huw Edwards had contacted them online out of the blue, and another person said that Mr. Edwards had broke lockdown rules in order to visit them in February 2021. Huw Edwards' wife has said that he has suffered a serious mental health episode and is now being treated in a hospital. She says that he will answer these allegations when he is well enough to do so. And he's also apologised, she said, to other people caught up in this. Many other BBC presenters had been alleged to be part of this when they had nothing to do with it. And his wife appealed for privacy for herself and her children.
Oh, so in due course he will answer the allegations. Cue the weepy interview on the BBC, probably.
You should know that I am programmed by the BBC to tell the truth.
Eerie, eh? But not as eerie as something else I've dug up in my investigative journalism. It turns out Huw Edwards is actually part of some kind of cult that speaks a secret language. Doubt there's anyone out there that can decipher that nonsense, but I'm pretty sure he said something about sacrifices of the humankind.
Is-ganghellor, anrydeddus swyddogion y brifysgol.
Someone needs to get to the bottom of this. It's getting too late now for me to continue with my investigative journalism. I may pick it up where I left off tomorrow. But it seems like he's pretty damn important in this sect or cult, whatever you want to call it. He looks like a bit of a big deal.
Ac anwyl ffrindiau.
Oh my God, Huw Edwards is a dear leader. They're going to rise up and take over or something. I don't know what they're going to do. God only knows. I dread to think, but he has to be stopped. You know, bloody Alistair Campbell thought Saddam Hussein was bad. I want a Huw Edwards dossier, right? And then we shall decide if we have to invade Wales. Well, depending on what Alistair Campbell comes up with. But I'm sure he'll be able to sell it to us, you know. He did it 20 years ago. One last time, Alistair. Come on, take us to war. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to say about that. And you can see my mind's now drifting off into tangents. It's now after 4 a.m. in the morning, but I'm a tireless gossip bitch. No, I'm an investigative journalist now, and It's too late for this, isn't it? I'll see you in the next one. Like the video if you have liked it. Show me with that helps with the algorithm, you see. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Click the notification bell so that you never miss another video. All that stuff, that all helps me. Which, you know, at the end of the day is what is best for society, isn't it? We need more Daniel Bolands and fewer Huw Edwards, don't we? Because that's what, you know, the news, the mob has decided today. All right? Fewer hours to Campbell's, more violent mobs.